By definition, homologation is the process of granting approval by an official authority. In motorsport, homologation means assessing the compliance of a newly developed car with technical regulations of a given class of cars, and then freezing its specification for the homologation cycle defined in the regulations of that class. As the governing body of world motorsport, the FIA is responsible for homologations, and the process is carried out predominantly in the Federation's Centre of Excellence, located in the French village of Valery, roughly 30 minutes drive from Geneva. With certain classes of cars, some more specific tests are also conducted. These can include wind tunnel measurements, comparison of the car's dimensions against its road car equivalent, or deflection tests of floor and bodywork, carried out to check that certain parts of the cars aren't flexing beyond the allowed tolerance.
Homologation is a process to control that the cars are compliant with the technical regulation applying to the championship they are competing in.
For each championship we have different kind of homologation. The most complex one, the most complete one is in rally car, where we capture more or less all the part of the car. For the championship, like the wake, we need also to capture the drag or the downforce in the wind tunnel, and after that we scan all the bodywork.
So the wind tunnel measurement is done, of course, for hypercars, but it's also applied to GT cars.
For each category, the life cycle of the homologation could be very different. It could be, for example, 5 years for the WEC Championship, 9 years in GT3, or 2 years in Formula E. The homologation is one of the best ways to freeze, in fact, the development, and to limit the development, so to limit the cost.
This process is taking several days. We are counting a day in the wind tunnel, a day for the center of gravity measurement, several days to control the technical aspect from the cars. The homologation cycle is done for 5 years, but of course manufacturers, they are able to do some changes on the car. They can do a maximum of 5 updates over the life cycle. To establish BOP, we are doing quite a lot of computation simulation work. To do this calculation, we need some car measurements, and of course wind tunnel is a big part of it. It's giving the aerodynamic characteristic from the cars. We are also doing some center of gravity measurement. All these measurements are used to establish and to compute our starting BOP. On a race event, the cars are passing what we call a pre-event scrutineering. This is mostly done to control the safety of the car. Post-event, of course, we are controlling more details and more technical aspects from the car to be sure that the car who was competing was compliant to the technical regulations. All this homologation job, all this measurement, car characterization is done in close collaboration with our partner ACO.
Each rally category is linked to homologation regulation, and these regulations give you what you can modify to change the series car into the rally car. The validity of the homologation is linked to the production of the series production car and will lapse until 7 years after the end of production of the road car. It's the same for all groups in rally, so from Rally 1 to Rally 5. Except for Rally 1 car, where we have a 5-year cycle. What is really specific in rally is that the homologation is linked to the road car. First, we homologate the series production car. The second step is the homologation of the rally car. During the process, we compare a lot of parts compared to the road car, because the main dimensions of the car and a lot of components have to stay original. So we check the safety cage of the car. The rally car body shell is a body shell converting from a series production car, so it has to be reinforced. We check also the seat belt fixing points and also the installation of the fuel tank. And once approved, we are able to issue what we call homologation form.